Radio Theatre.
In the air.
Dedicated to man's imagination, the theater of the mind.
You know what our call letters WGN stand for, don't you?
Welcome to WGN Radio Theatre.
Special 3-hour presentation.
And your hosts, Carl Amari and Lisa Wolf.
All right, 12:30. And we are on the air, Lisa, on live here on WGN, program 456 in the series. And we have a shortened show, but we'll be here till 3 o'clock in the morning. Are you going to stick around till 3?
I'll think about it.
All right. Well, we are going to play an episode of Vic and Sade in this hour. We're also going to have our Just the Facts segment brought to you by Cat's Pride. But Vic and Sade from 1940 in this half hour. It's a quarter-hour program. Then right at 1 o'clock, we will have Suspense, starring Alan Ladd from 1944. And then in our last hour, leading up to 3 o'clock in the morning, it's Abbott and Costello. Yes, they had a radio show along with their TV show. TV show can be seen on Antenna TV every once in a while. You know that, right, Lisa?
I sure do. I am a big fan, Carl.
You know, Suspense actually had a television show, too, but they were kinescope, so the quality is not that great, but you're going to love the radio show we have with Alan Ladd. So that's all coming your way till 3 o'clock in the morning here on the WGN Radio Theatre. Few commercials, and then we'll be right back.
Hi, it's Lou Manfredini on behalf of Seattle Sutton's Healthy Eating. By now, you've heard me talk about the success I had in 2019 while being on the Seattle Sutton Healthy Eating program. I set a goal to be healthier, lose weight, and the benefits have been remarkable. I'm maintaining my 35-pound weight loss, my blood pressure is under control, and my cholesterol is normal. My plan is to continue to be healthy in 2020 as well. Now, if 2020 is the year you want to make a healthy choice for your life, then call Seattle Sutton's Healthy Eating at 800-442-3438. That's 800-442-3438. Your good health is the mission at Seattle Sutton. Food tastes great, it's easy to get started, and if you stick with this plan, you will see the results. Happy New Year, and here's to a new you in 2020 with some help from SeattleSutton.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Are these stories going to be true, Lisa?
Oh, these are true. I have a few facts from 1940, the year of Vic and Sade that we're about to play
Going
this hour.
way back to 1940.
Way back to
All
1940. Right. We are going to start with the debut of the Superman radio show.
Okay.
More powerful than a locomotive.
Yeah.
Right?
Impervious to bullets.
Okay.
A lot of people may not realize.
It's a plane. It's Superman.
This is the well-known signature opening, one of the most famous in radio history.
Now, Superman.
Yeah.
This is Jackson Beck, the announcer, narrated
Right.
for the program from 1943 to 1950. And this was one of the longest-running programs in the history of American radio, spanned over 11 years from the time it was first syndicated.
People may not realize that this show was so popular on radio that as soon as television could muster up the energy to do a TV show of it, they did. George Reeve, of course, starring as the Man of Steel. Great radio and TV series. And, of course, now movies and every other thing.
Well, 1940 was a big year for Superman.
Of it, sure.
May 15th of 1940, the very first McDonald's restaurant opened in...
No, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I know.
Opened in 1940?
Would I kid you?
I had I would have never guessed 1940. I thought it was way later than 1940.
And that's why you have me in San Bernardino, California. But listen to this.
Yeah.
So two brothers, Dick and Maurice McDonald, opened the stand as McDonald's Barbecue. Okay, so slightly different. They later shut it down, reopened it in 1948 with a pared down menu of 9 items, which included hamburgers for 15 cents, cheeseburgers, 19 cents.
Can't afford it.
I know you can't, but
No.
they're kind of generous that way. There's drinks. They had coffee, Coca-Cola, Orangeade for 10
San
cents.
Bernardino was the first location.
And well, it was, but it was McDonald's barbecue back then, a little bit
No
different.
idea.
And then Kroc convinced the brothers to give him the franchise rights to their business, which he acquired in 1955.
Wow.
Opened the first McDonald's franchise in 1955. Do you know where it opened?
I think right here in Illinois.
In Illinois,
it was in
Des
Des
Plaines,
Plaines.
Illinois.
Yeah,
Yep,
because
that's exactly
I've
right.
driven past that,
Yep.
historic building.
It is historic,
Yeah.
1955.
Wow.
And Frank Mars and Bruce Murray manufactured a candy-coated
Yeah.
chocolate in 6 different colors.
I'm going to say it was.
What?
What was the name of the bar?
You're joking, right?
Was it the Musketeers? Three Musketeers?
No, think, Carl. Candy-coated chocolate in 6 different colors.
I don't know.
Carl, you know
What
this.
is it? What is it?
M&M's.
Oh,
M&M's.
yeah.
Oh, my gosh. M&M's
Sure.
are delicious. So the candy was first
Do
made
they
in
melt
Newark.
in your mouth or in your hands?
No, see, and that's the thing. The candy-coated chocolates were exclusively made available to members of the military
I just ate a couple of
during
them
World War
yesterday. I
II
had
because
some
they're resistant to the heat.
because of Valentine's.
Because they melt in your mouth and not in your hands.
Wow.
And they were first packaged in tubes. I love M&M's.
I
I'm
know.
guessing a
Do you
lot
like
of our
peanuts
listeners.
or regular?
No. Just
You don't
like
like
the
the peanuts.
regular classic M&M's.
Well, thanks, Lisa. That's
Oh,
all from the
sure.
year 1940 because Vic and
Yep.
Sade is our broadcast from 1940. We will have Vic and Sade in this hour, Suspense with Alan Ladd, and then Abbott and Costello. We're here every Saturday night. Generally, we start at 11 p.m.
10. No, we
I'm sorry,
start at
10
10.
p.m. and we go to 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 hours.
You know what? You come at 11. I'm getting here at 10.
No. 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the morning.
And next week we have a full 5-hour
Oh,
show.
great.
So we
Okay.
can look forward to that.
Fantastic. All right. Vic and Sade came to radio in 1932. Way back in 1932 came to radio. It lasted till 1946. And it did make a transition to television for a while in 1949 and then again in 1957. In its heyday, Lisa, are you ready for this? In its heyday, 7 million listeners per day. 7 million listeners per day tuned in to Vic and Sade. It was a quarter-hour show. And the great thing about Vic and Sade, why I love Vic and Sade so much, you didn't have to listen. It wasn't like a soap opera where it was connecting each day. Each quarter hour had its own wrap-up. It was self-contained. And there were the central characters known as radio's home folks. They were accountant Victor Rodney Gook, played by Art Van Harvey, his wife Sade, played by Bernadine Flynn, and their adopted son Rush, played by Billy Idleson. And Idleson's acting career began right here on WGN way back in 1931, Billy Idleson.
That is remarkable.
His first role was on a soap opera being broadcast on this radio station. At its height, Vic and Sade was broadcast on all 3 networks. That was very rare. Very rare was a show heard on more than one network at a time. Vic and Sade was so popular that all 3 networks carried it. It was created by a guy named Paul Reimer, and he wrote every episode of the series. He wrote it from soup to nuts. We're going to listen to an episode from February 2nd, 1940. This was sponsored by Crisco. It's heard on NBC. It's called Mr. Donahue is Getting a Promotion. Here is Vic and Sade.
And now get ready to smile again with radio's home folks, Crisco's Vic and Sade, brought to you by Procter & Gamble. You know, if I could drop in and visit all you folks, I think I'd pick Sunday night. Don't you think that's about the homiest night of the whole week, huh? Why, I can see you there now, all sitting around the supper table, just waiting to pitch into all those good things to eat. And say, maybe there'd be a great big layer cake waiting on the sideboard. Maybe one of those 3-layer cakes with lots of luscious cream filling, and maybe a maple walnut icing on top. Sound good? And I certainly hope you'll make that layer cake with new Sure Mix Crisco. You see, new Sure Mix Crisco is the result of the greatest shortening discovery in 29 years. And what will it do for your cakes? Well, listen. New Sure Mix Crisco can make your cakes higher and lighter than any other home shortening we ever heard of. And they'll be tenderer and better eating, too. Now, how's that for cake news? Doesn't it make you want to start mixing up a cake with this new Sure Mix Crisco right away? And just wait till you see how this amazing new shortening picks up all your other cake ingredients and blends with them more thoroughly, more completely. Why, you've never seen a batter like this before because we don't know of any other shortening that can give you this wonderful cake batter that doesn't separate or become grainy. It's going to do your heart good to see this silky, smooth, sure-mix Crisco batter. Why, you just know a creamy cake batter like that means better eating cakes. And listen to this. We made baking tests, hundreds and hundreds of tests, with many different shortenings. And they definitely prove these smoother Crisco batters can make cakes higher, lighter, and tenderer. Yes, and better eating than cakes you can make with any other household shortening. So be sure and keep new Sure Mix Crisco on hand, won't you? And serve your family lots of Crisco cakes. It's my guess there's no dessert they'd rather have. Well, sir, it's late afternoon as our scene opens now. And here in the living room of the small house halfway up in the next block, we find Mr. Victor Gook, all by himself. Mr. Gook is established at the library table, sorting through a pile of official-looking documents. We surmise he's doing a spot of office work at home. His labors are interrupted now, however, by a voice from the kitchen. Listen.
Vic?
Hi, Jay.
Mr. Donahoe got the new job.
Did he?
They called up from the roundhouse with the news only about 10 minutes ago.
You may tender my congratulations and best wishes to Pa Donahue. You may also
Listen, can I bother you a minute?
All right, Ed.
Excited as a horse.
Ooh, you?
Yeah. Isn't it grand, though?
Enchanting.
This is a step up they've been waiting for years. Traveling Inspector of Locomotives.
Quite a fancy title.
Been on pins and needles the last 6 weeks wondering whether they'd get the position or not. Didn't hardly dare let themselves think about it for fear they'd be disappointed.
Well,
I was puttering around in the kitchen and went out on the back porch to shake my mop. Miss Donahue was standing in her pantry window rapping on the glass to beat the band. Made wild motions for me to come running over. Well, I scooted across the backyard and she met me at the door with the big news. Oh, boy, is she walking on air.
Donahue home?
Yeah, upstairs changing clothes. She told me all about it in whispers. See, he don't want an enormous big fuss made. He's going to go right along about his business as though nothing had happened. Pretty soon we'll see him start off to work. I want to keep watching out the window so we don't miss him. He won't be wearing overalls, Vic. He'll be wearing a blue serge suit and a derby hat. He's got a Kansas City freight drag at 4:45.
Kansas City freight drag?
Yeah.
Well, if he's all through being an engineer, how comes he has to take
he still rides trains and all. Only instead of being the engineer with his hand on the throttle and his head stuck out the window, he loafs around in the cab sitting on a camp chair. He's the inspector, see?
Hi, Ma.
He's the monstrous big inspector. Watches the gauges and meters and trash.
Who's home?
Keeps track of the steam. Checks up on the coal. Gives orders. Hey, you fireman, you, shovel out some ashes. Mr. Engineer, toot your whistle. Grand.
How do you do, people?
Hi, Sam.
I enter my home and holler greetings, and nobody pays the slightest bit of attention to me. I expect civilization.
Willie, step over to the window and watch for Mr. Donahue.
Is Mr. Donahue?
He'll be leaving the house directly to go to the railroad, and I don't want to miss seeing him. Scoot along. Holler the minute the door opens. He'll be wearing a blue serge suit, Vic, and a derby hat. Bought him over 6 weeks ago. Just on the chance he'd get the job. You ought to hear her. Running around like a chicken with its head off. See, he don't want any fuss made. He wouldn't have liked her to motion me over the way she done. We stood there in the kitchen doorway, and she told me the news in whispers. Some whispers. The roundhouse just telephoned. It's gone through. Traveling Inspector of Locomotives. Effective immediately. Oh, boy.
Well,
anything doing next door, Willie?
No. What's the idea?
Well, keep watching. Holler the minute he steps out on the porch.
What's the idea?
Leave, I'll telephone Ruthie. She'll want to know. Shall I? Expect you're ready to bite my head off, bother you in the middle of your work this way.
I'm all through with the wish part.
I'll call her then, huh?
Sure.
What's the idea, Ma?
You'll have to be still, Sonny. I'm going to telephone. 2572X, please. She may be downtown. I know there's a wash rag sale on at Hamilton's. Ruthie generally takes advantage of every wash. Donahue's?
Yeah.
Come on, Vic.
Oh, sure.
Mr. Donahue coming out on the porch?
Mr. and Miss Donahue both.
Hurry up, Vic.
Okay.
Mr. Donahue's all dressed up.
Derby hat, blue serge suit?
Yeah, looks like he's
One
going
side, Willie. Give a person room.
There's plenty of
And
room.
don't squat your face out through the curtains where they can see you. Vic, why don't you come?
I'm right here.
Oh, Willie, move.
Gee whiz, an individual
Yes, sir. Derby hat and blue serge suit.
Very